3 ways to test reliability of exam questions: multiple choice questions, exam paper in Excel. The first method is Kuder-Richardson Formula 20 KR-20 equation. The second method is Cronbach's alpha formula. The third one, determine the reliability using the ANOVA table in Excel. Reliability test for multiple choice question exam is one way to measure the internal consistency of items or the score consistency. If a same group of students repeated an same exam with the same question or questions, multiple choice questions at different occasions or different time or different date, and the score for each individual student is similar in both occasions, then the score is consistent and the exam or the test is reliable. Reliability test can be performed in Excel using Kuder-Richardson Formula 20, abbreviated as KR-20. As shown on the equation here, K stands for total number of questions, summation of P multiplied by Q. P stands for proportion of the correct answer for each question. Q stands for proportion of wrong answer for each question, divided by the variance for the total score. Here in this data sheet in Excel, I have a data from an exam result for 10 students participated in the exam and answered 15 multiple choice questions. The value or the score for each question was recorded as either 1 for correct answer or 0 for wrong answer. And to find out whether this exam or test is reliable, KR-20 will be calculated. So reliability test will be performed as shown here in this equation. The KR-20 equals to K divided by K minus 1 and then multiplied by 1 minus summation of P multiplied by Q divided by the variance for the total score. So the first step to do the reliability test is to calculate the total score. So if we type here a label for this column, total score, and to calculate the total score is to add all the values for each individual participant together. And if we click on the symbol for sum and then select the range of the questions from Q number 1 to Q number 15 and then click on enter, a total score for each student is recorded. To calculate the total score for the rest of the student, click on the cell here, hold, drag, and until you reach the last student. So the Excel will auto calculate and auto fill the total score for each participant. So now we need to calculate the variance for the total score, and to do that we select this cell here and then insert the equal sign and then type VAR for variance, select the first one, and then select the range of the data to calculate the variance for. Click on enter. A variance of 22.36 is produced. The next step now is to calculate the P and the Q and the summation of both. So here in this cell, I'm going to type P for proportion of the correct answer for the first question. And to calculate the proportion of the correct answer for question number 1, we can use the mean, because it is calculating these, the correct answer, dividing them by the total number. So we can use the mean here. If we click on the symbol here and select the average here mean represent the mean, and select the range of the data, the scores for question number 10, and click on enter. A P proportion value is generated for the first questions, showing 0.3 as 3 correct answer divided by 10 equal 0.3. To calculate the P value for the rest of the question, select the cell here, hold, drag to auto calculate and auto fill the value for each question. Now to calculate the proportion of the wrong answer for each question, I'm going to type Q here, and then in this cell I'm going to instead of counting the wrong answer and then dividing them by the total number of students, and I'm going to insert in that cell equal sign, then 1 minus the P value here of this cell, selecting this cell, and then click on enter. A Q value is calculated. Again, to auto fill and auto calculate the Q for AO for the rest of the question, select, hold and drag to auto fill and auto calculate the value. So here we have the P value, the Q value. And now we need to multiply P by Q. And the way to do that is select the cell here, insert equal sign, and then select the P, the cell for the P for the first question, and then multiply that using this symbol, multiply that by the Q, selecting the Q value for question number 1, and then clicking on enter. PQ is calculated for the first questions, and to calculate the PQ for the rest of the questions, hold, drag, and the Excel will autofill and auto calculate the value. Now we have the PQ for every questions, and following this equation we need to add them up, all these values together. And to do that, click on this cell and then select the symbol for sum and select the range for PQ for question number 1 to question number 15, and click on enter. A value of 3.42 is generated. So now we have most of the component to fill and calculate the KR-20. So here we have the K, we need the K, we need the summation of P by Q, and the variance for the total score. For K, as I said, we have here 15 questions, so K value is 15. The summation of P multiplied by Q is 3.4, so I'm going to click, select, and then copy, and I'm going to paste this using the this paste. And for the variance of the total score, we have the variance here for the total score. I'm going to right click, select copy, and then place that in this cell as we saw here. Now to calculate the KR-20, I'm going to use this cell, insert in it equal sign, then open a bracket, and then multiply that by another bracket to place the equation using this equation here. So in the first bracket, I'm going to add the K value. The K value is 15 divided by 15 minus 1 equal 14. So I'm going to divide that by 14. And in the second brackets, I'm going to add 1 minus the summation of P, multiplication of P by Q. So selecting this. Once the value for the summation of P multiplied by Q is inserted, need to divide that by the value for the variance of the total score. Selecting this cell and pressing enter, a value for KR-20 is calculated and it is equal to 0.91. This value means that the test or the exam is 91% reliable. So if we look at the table here, which shows the range for the KR-20 values and the measurement of reliability and labeling of the reliability, anything that is equal to 0.9 or greater is considered to be an extremely reliable test or an exam. A value for KR-20 from 0.8 to 0.89 is considered to be good for reliability. Anything in the range of 0.7 to 0.79 considered to be acceptable, and the range of 0.6 to 0.69 is considered to be questionable. KR value for a test that has a range of 0.5 to 0.59 is considered to be a poor test, and a test with or an exam with a KR-20 value of less than 0.5 indicates that the exam is unacceptable or unreliable. So the KR-20 value ranges from 0 to 1. 0 means that the exam or the test is unreliable, and 1 indicates that the exam is extremely reliable. So this is the way to determine whether an exam or a test is reliable or not, by using the KR-20 formula and determining the value using the equation. Reliability test for multiple choice question exam in Excel using Cronbach alpha. Reliability test measures the internal consistency of items, i.e. the scores consistency. If a group of students, the same group of the students, repeated the same exam, the same questions at different occasions, their score or scores for both occasions are similar, and that indicate that the exam or the test is consistent and reliable. And the way to calculate the reliability of an exam as a whole or a test is to use the Cronbach alpha. This is one of the method for reliability test, and the equations for that is as given here. Alpha equals to K divided by K minus 1, as K represent the total number of questions this multiplied by 1 minus the sum of the variance for each individual question or item divided by the variance for the total score. Here in Excel data sheet, I have a data extracted from an exam and a test for 10 students answering 15 multiple choice questions, and the score for each question was recorded as either 1 or 0. 1 stands for correct answer, 0 stands for wrong answers. So these data are dichotomous data, binary data, just two options, correct or wrong. And to determine the reliability of the exam as a whole, we're going to use the Cronbach alpha equation to generate a value for the alpha. A value of the alpha does range from 0 to 1. 0 indicates that the test or exam is unreliable, and 1 indicates that the exam or the test as a whole is extremely reliable or excellent. The first step in calculating the reliability is to calculate the total score achieved by each individual participant or student. In this case, i.e. to add all the scores achieved by each individual student. And the way to do that, in this new cell, we're going to label this cell or this column as total score, and to calculate the total score for each individual participant, select the cell, then select the sum symbol here, and select the range of the data to combine and add from question number 1 to question number 15. And if we click on enter, the total score for the first student is calculated. To calculate the rest of the scores for the rest of the student, we're going to select the value here, hold, drag to the last student, and Excel will auto fill and auto calculate the value for the total score for each individual participant. Now we have calculated the total score achieved by each individual participant. The next step is to calculate the variance for the total score, i.e. the variance for these scores. So if we select this cell and then insert the equal sign and then type VAR for variance and select the first options here, and then select the range of the data to determine the variance for, and then click enter. A value of 22.36 or 36 is generated. So this is the variance for the total score. The next step is to calculate the variance for each individual questions. So each one of these questions, Q number 1 to Q number 15, we're going to calculate the variance for those variables. And again, it is the same concept. If I'm going to type here variance and then select this cell, in this cell I'm going to insert the equal sign and then type VAR, select the first option here, and then select the range of the data. Select the range of the data for question number 1 to determine the variance for it, and click on enter. A value for the variance for the first question is calculated. To calculate the variance for the rest of the questions, just click on the value here, hold, drag to auto calculate, and auto fill the value for the variance for each specific questions. Now we have calculated the variance for each questions. The next step is to add them all together. So what I'm going to do here in this cell, I'm going to select this cell, then select the sum as I'm going to add them, and then select the variance for the 15 questions. And if I click on enter, a value of 3.42 is generated. This is the value for the sum of the variance for the questions. Now we have most of the component of this formula ready. For the K represent the number of questions. So here we have 15 questions. And for the variance for the total score, we have calculated that to be 22.336. Just click, right click, copy, and then we're going to paste this value using this option here. So we have now all the component for the formula ready. The next step is to calculate the alpha value. And the way to do that is to insert the equal sign and then open one bracket multiplied by the second bracket, and in the first bracket I'm going to add the K. The K is 15 divided by 15 minus 1 is 14, so I'm going to divide that by 14, and then in the second bracket here I'm going to add 1 minus the first value of the sum of the variance for the items, selecting this value here and then dividing that by the value for the variance for the total score and clicking the enter key. A value of alpha equal to 0.908. So this value means that the exam or the test is 91% reliable, and that is a good result and good value. So here if we look at the table, we can see that Cronbach alpha value has different ranges, and each ranges will be represented by reliability. If the alpha value is equal to 0.9 or greater, then the reliability is excellent. If the alpha value is between 0.8 and 0.89, it's a good reliability. A value of 0.7 to 0.79 is acceptable reliability. A value of 0.6 to 0.69 is questionable reliability, and an exam or a test that has a alpha value of 0.5 to 0.59 is considered to be a poor reliable exam. A value of less than 0.5 indicate that the test is unacceptable and unreliable. So this is the way to do the reliability test based on the Cronbach Cronbach's alpha using the formula given here by calculating the variance for each questions, adding them together, divided by the variance for the total score. Cronbach's alpha in Excel measures the internal consistency of items and score consistency. The alpha is calculated to determine the reliability of multiple choice question exam paper using ANOVA table. Here in this data sheet in Excel, this data is a dichotomous data taken from an exam result for 10 students answering 15 multiple choice questions, and the score for each question is reported as 0 or 1. 0 means wrong answer, 1 means correct answer. So these data are dichotomous, binary, as there is only two options, correct or wrong answer. And to determine whether the exam paper is reliable, we can calculate the Cronbach's alpha. And to calculate the Cronbach's alpha, click on data, and if you don't have the icon for the data, you can generate that through the options in the file and then select the data analysis icon. Click on data analysis, a window will appear, and we are going to use the analysis tool of ANOVA. ANOVA 2-factor without replication. And if I click on OK, another window will appear, and we're going to select the input range. And to select the input range, I'm going to highlight the range of the data I want to calculate the ANOVA for it. So we're going to leave the alpha as 0.05, and then I'm going to generate the output in a cell as highlighted here, selecting this. And then if I click on OK, two tables are generated in Excel. The first table shows the count, the sum, the average, and the variance for row 1 to 10 and column 1 to column number 15. We are interested in the second table, which is the ANOVA table. And the two important figures we are interested in is this figure, the means square for the rows and the means and the errors. And if I'm going just to highlight these in red. To calculate the Cronbach's alpha, use the following way. In this cell, I'm going to type alpha, and then next to it I'm going to insert equal sign, and then number 1 minus the error divided by the rows, the means square for error divided by rows, and then hitting the enter key. Cronbach's alpha of 0.91 is generated. This figure indicates that the test or the exam paper is 91% reliable. So this table here, small tables, shows the range for the Cronbach's alpha and the reliability. Any value for the alpha greater equal to or greater than 0.9, then the reliability is excellent. A value of 0.8 to 0.89 indicates a good reliability. A value of 0.7 to 0.79 is acceptable reliability, and Cronbach's alpha value of 0.6 to 0.69 indicates questionable reliability, and the value of 0.5 to 0.59 is considered to be a poor reliability, and anything with a value of less than 0.5 for alpha is considered to be an unacceptable exam or test, i.e. unreliable. So this is the way, one of the way to calculate the Cronbach's alpha and determine the reliability of an exam paper, sorting it out either as extremely reliable and excellent reliability or an unacceptable, unreliable exam.